Hi, this is Marla Phillips. I would like to give you an overview for in-class work assignment number 6 in the Risk and Failure Analysis course. In this particular assignment, we are having the students conclude their investigation on the first scenario that we explore in this course, which, if you recall, is based on untrained employees working in a manufacturing area. So again, this particular assignment, they're pulling all the pieces together and concluding the entire investigation. Here's an example from a student that got a 5 out of 5, and I will say that this is a very complete response. So the students don't have to be this complete, but it gives you a feel for what to look for. The first part of this form was filled out earlier in the assignments, where they had to basically start the investigation. So this should be pretty complete based on previous assignments that they've done. And now they're going to get into the event and trend review. And you can see that they're basically documenting what has occurred and what procedures would have indicated what they should have been doing, or what procedures might have been violated and why. So they're basically looking at the event, and then also trying to identify if there was a trend. And from the information they've been given, there really has not been a trend identified. The key is, though, for untrained employees to go into the manufacturing area, that happened because of process breakdown. So we really don't know if there could have been other employees that were untrained working in any manufacturing area, and it just wasn't caught. So we're looking for the students to say it's possible that it occurred. As far as we know from documented evidence, nothing has happened, but there is a possibility that this could have gone undetected. In the SOP review, these are SOPs that the students have been given. They have these as handouts. These are mocked up SOPs that are pretty robust as far as trying to put together a case study for students. So what are the SOPs that would have been involved in reviewing the situation? So we want to see that they document, and you can see in this middle section here, they document some of the SOPs that would have been affected, but not just, what are they? Basically looking at, in reviewing these SOPs, here are issues or what has been violated in that review. And so that's what's going on here. One of the SOPs, if you recall from in-class work assignment number 5, taught them how to determine the risk level. And so this student is pasting that back in here to basically explain that from this SOP, this is the risk assessment that we have for this particular situation. So in this event risk assessment section, they should be able to reference what was in the SOP. And if they don't cut and paste the table in, that's okay. But they have to be able to indicate why it's a medium level risk. If they have some other risk level identified and their logic is really, really good, but maybe they missed something, you can possibly give them credit for that, and then have a comment explaining why what they described really wasn't correct. So just depending on what the effort they put in and what they're trying to understand. Again, these students have never been in a manufacturing area, so their understanding is basically from our case study. They also need to determine, what's the required amount of action because it is now a medium risk. And so then this again is from the SOP, and it basically tells them what should be done and to what level of rigor do they need to approach this problem. We want to determine basically the impact of this failure on the product itself. And so that's where the SISPQ section is filled out. And again, they're taught this in the course. So if they're listening and they're reading their SOPs, this should be filled in. Root cause analysis, they don't have to use any of the tools that we've taught, but it certainly would be nice if they did, whether it's Fishbone or YY or something like that. This student used the 6M method, so Fishbone type of process, and went through the issues that could have occurred. Recommendations is where the student recommends if the product should be rejected or approved for release. And so in this particular case, it is rejected because we cannot prove that when those untrained employees were working in the manufacturing area that they did not breach sterility. And so since we can't prove it, we have to reject it. They should list, a good number of attachments. I'm not looking for a complete list by any means, or that everything's, exactly correct, but just showing that they understand that they need to attach different things that go along with this, whether it's, they might not remember to attach the unexplained discrepancy form, but seeing that they're attaching training records and SOPs, or something that shows that they recognize that you attach information to the report so that it becomes a standalone report. Okay, then they can sign it. Corrective actions. These, again, were discussed in the course, and so they should recognize what they need to do to correct the actions versus prevent. And these are just really looking to make sure that what they're describing is logical based on the event that occurred, where you have the untrained employees in the manufacturing area because there was a breakdown in the basically the HR and operations communication in the training of employees before they were admitted into any type of operations area. And that concludes the report. This is a good example for you to use. I also have the slides from the class that shows the students after the fact what they should have gotten, which is largely what you just saw in this report here. But thank you so much for your time in helping to see if the students are grasping these concepts. And again, this is the first scenario, and so their maturity in investigating will develop as they go into the second and third scenarios. So again, at this point, you can be a little bit more lenient in making sure that they're showing some signs that they understand the different sections of the investigation. It might not be complete, but in that case, you can use your comments, but yet still give them credit. So thank you again.